want to talk about the 20th AFL team. We know Tassie's coming.
We don't even have 19 yet.
Well, it will eventually,
Okay.
whether it's 2028.
If the stadium happens.
As we spoke about in the main body episode this week, could get pushed back because the stadium.
You're becoming public enemy number one of the Taswegians. I'm just saying.
I love Tassie.
As a man who's been public enemy number one of a few different groups, I can know it when I see it. That's happening.
So the beauty of the 19th team will be lost on us quickly when we realise we've got to have a team playing each week with a bye. So
Annoying.
I think what's going to happen is we're going to see a 20th team come in relatively quickly, and the current broadcast deal is locked in until 2031. So I feel like 2032 would be a good start for a 20th team.
Okay.
Let's say Tassie does come in 2028, gives us 4 years off the back of that to properly launch the 20th team. And for me, it's the most fascinating debate in footy right now because there's no
Stuff's the draft for a while, though. It's the only thing. Because they'd have to start giving concessions pretty soon after Tassie.
But if you speak to people around what happened with the Giants and the Suns were cooked because the Suns came in and then the Giants came in 12 months later.
Yep.
And the Giants were still poor, crap, and the Giants took all their good kids. So the Suns didn't really get a chance to properly breathe.
Yep.
With where they were at with their list. Like, there's no clear standout right now in the competition. And for me, look at the NRL and what they've been able to do. They consistently get people 10 to 15,000 attending their games each week. I don't see why we need to have the next team packing out 30, 40, 50,000 people. I think there is a climate where 15 to 25,000 a week could suffice.
Yeah, well, we're going to see that with Tassie, so.
So there's a few different options. South Australia, we spoke about over the weekend.
Norwood, third team.
They're behind WA, but they deserve to be in the conversation. 1.3 million people live in Adelaide. There's 1.8 million in the state. That's a million less in SA than live in the entire WA. So I think it puts WA ahead in the pecking order. Two clear options in WA. Do you go North Perth, sort of half an hour out of the city? Joondalup is the one that's always spoken about. They've got an established stadium. West Perth in the Waffle play their games at HBF Arena. And you're always looking for ways to fill the WA stadium quota, have more events there. Half an hour out. Could you do that? Potentially. There's a strong population up there, but it is heavily Eagles and Dockers already. So taking people out of that fan base would be hard. Then you've got further down south, but the population figure might hurt. So Bunbury, 2 hours south. You've got Mandurah, an hour south. Now that's sort of Freo heartland. But then you throw in Busselton, Dunsborough, Margaret River, other parts of the southwest of WA. You're looking at maybe 150, 250,000 combined population.
If there's a team that is playing near Margaret River, I'm moving there to cover that team.
It would be cool. You could play 4 or 5 games.
Wouldn't be good for my liver, but it would be good for everything else.
4 or 5 games in the heartland there, and then you could probably get 5 or 6, 7 games up at Optus Stadium.
Yep.
But then, 2 hours. The hard thing with these established markets already is are the Eagles and Dockers and then in SA, the Crows and Power, too established that you're going to have to wrench fan bases out of them? You know what? The Dockers came in only 5 or 10 years later than the Eagles did, and then the Power came in not long after the Crows did into the AFL. So you didn't have 20, 30 years of, established fan bases. The other one is Darwin, Northern Territory. But Darwin's population is only 130,000. NT as a state as a territory, only has 250,000 in total. That's less than Geelong right now. There will be heavy government support, 30%.
There's also a lot of money in Darwin.
There is.
There's a lot of private money in Darwin. And
I expect the government to put a lot of money in, given the issues with youth we've seen in times. Plus, the AFL has been strong in recent times to recruiters that Indigenous talent has fallen away in the last 3 or 4 years. We need to see more pathways and stronger pathways coming through for Indigenous talent. And they also say that up there, it's the front door to Australia, not the back door. So we like to say it's, the top end, it's sort of out of the way. But they would say, again,
it's closest to the rest of the world.
Yeah, in Asia. And still a long way away from really cracking that market. But it is close to Asia.
Do you think Darwin is the AFL's preference?
I think to make a purely national competition, it would be.
Same. And they've already done, or they're already in the midst of the report. They're in the feasibility report. Was it Peter Jackson was doing that?
Yeah, it's happened on and off at different times. Yep. A new stadium's been spoken about.
Oh no, let's not have a stadium conversation again.
Yeah, I think you'd get the go-home factor working all right up there. Like I could already name 10 players that would probably play tomorrow. You could get the Rioli boys, Parfitt, Long, Willie Rioli. Like players would love to play up there.
Yeah, totally.
Kadeen Coleman spent time in the NT, Malcolm Roses, the Davey boys, Stephen May. Then you've got Canberra.
No.
The Giants are already there, basically.
No.
Then you've got Newcastle, which isn't as silly as it sounds.
Sounds pretty silly.
700,000 people live in Greater Newcastle.
Is it that big?
Yeah.
Shit.
And the AFL obviously went into Greater Western Sydney for a reason, to make the most of that population.
Yeah, the Giants would be happy with it. Giants would be wrapped.
Sheeds is big on Newcastle.
What about second one in Tassie?
North and South.
They're already at the stadium. Isn't the Tassie Derby?
For me, it's either WA or a combined Northern Territory team with Cairns Townsville.
Yeah. Yeah.
Make the most of the population up there.
I like it.
But there's still a lot to be worked through. I think we will see a 20th team eventually. Keen for the Tradies listeners' feedback on that. Where do you think?
I think the AFL will move heaven and earth to put it in Darwin, but I think it might take a bit of time. I think we're stuck with the bye for a while, sadly.
4+ years? You think it'll be well beyond 2032?
Yep. The 10th game's not worth as much to the broadcasters as people think it is, so I don't think it'll be that big an issue.
I agree with that, because we think, it's 11% added to already what we get, but that 10th game is not as valuable as the first 4 or 5, is it?